to the show, Sadhguru.
Thank you.
I wonder about the title Guru. Is that a protected title, or could anyone become a guru?
Sadhguru is not a title, it's a description. That is, if you want to have your eyes checked up, you don't go to your gynecologist.
I see, yes.
You know where to go.
Sounds, yeah.
So when you say Sadhguru, it essentially means an uneducated guru. That means if you want to know scriptures, you don't go to him. If you want to know religion, you don't go to him. If you want to read your future, you don't go to him. There's only one thing he knows. He knows this piece of life from its origin to its ultimate, absolutely. He knows nothing else.
How important is it to have a beard?
That was not decided by me. All men grow beard. Some men remove. Only one removed. Here. We should ask him why he removed. Does he have a good reason?
Is that…
We're teaming up here, huh?
I see. I regret the question, it doesn't make him a guru.
That's his choice.
I should start our conversation by talking about your father, because he passed away. So my condolences. What kind of inspiration was he for you?
He was definitely a symbol of extreme sense of integrity. I don't know if it's because of him, but I think becoming a seeker of truth, integrity becomes of utmost significance in your life. So at a very early age, I tried to enhance my vision, enhance my hearing, trying to see and hear things which others do not hear normally and see. Essentially, what I realized was ignorance is a consequence that has come because most human beings ignore everything around them. It's a consequence of that. So I paid attention and paid attention.
So here now, what are you paying attention to? What can you sense that I can't?
This is… people are always thinking paying attention means something magical should be happening. But the most magical things are happening right now. We are sitting on a tiny mud ball called Earth. It's spinning in the middle of nowhere. Nowhere knows where this creation begins, where it ends. Here we are, sitting and talking like this. Isn't this a magical thing? And I'm paying attention. Even though I'm a microscopic speck in this universe, still I have an individual experience. I can see this as me and see this as her, see this as somebody else. This speck should be nothing actually, but this speck of a thing has individual experience, a sense of individuality, which is such a tremendous thing. I think most people don't appreciate that, they always suffer that. And loneliness has become one of the biggest problems in the world because they do not appreciate their individual nature.
So would you say that we are too easily bored in our own company?
If you're bored when you're alone, obviously you're in bad company.
The fact that we are, as a species, are aware, and perhaps more aware than the animals, of our time as limited. We know that we're gonna get old. We know that we're gonna die someday.
Really? Most people think other people die.
But not ourselves.
Yes, most people think other people die. They don't understand for every one of us time is ticking away right now as we sit here. What is ticking away is not the clock. What is ticking away is our life as we sit here. If we know this, we would have no time for doing any nonsense with ourselves. We would do what means absolutely most to us, not silly things. There's one thing everybody must do before they go to bed. For a few minutes, if they see their bed as their deathbed, Just see that next 1 minute you're going to die. In these last 24 hours, have you lived this 24 hours the way you want it if this is the last moment? Every day if they do it, they will come to their senses.
Some people find comfort in religion. How about you?
One must look at this, that the real thing is that you don't know where you came from and you don't know where you go. You can believe what you want. If there was no belief in the world, if there was no religion in the world, a whole lot of people probably would not know how to manage themselves. I would say it's a very inexpensive psychiatry. It's not a solution, but for that moment it settles them, which I feel is important. It does a certain part of the job. But those who are seeking to know life, to know the very nature of their existence, then belief is of no use, because belief means you're assuming something that you do not know. Seeking truth means you're unwilling to assume anything that you do not know.
What are you thinking?
I was just thinking, you say that to believe it's not a solution, but what's the solution? If that is, do you understand what I mean? You're telling us that if you believe in something, that's not the solution. What's the solution?
See, you know that in different parts of the world, people believe different things. In one part of the world, what they believe looks ridiculous to people in another part of the world. So belief is a consequence of social influence. It has no existential significance. Only what you perceive genuinely, that's all you know. Rest is all your imagination.
But how do you actually sharpen your observations or your perception?
This mechanism, the human mechanism, is the most sophisticated mechanism on the planet. Everything that ever happened to you, pain and pleasure, joy and misery, agony and ecstasy, even light and darkness, is only happening within you. Physical pain is a natural phenomenon. Mental pain is something that you do to yourself, because the way you think and the way you feel is entirely your choice.
What about
So you think
what
you
about
can turn
mourning?
your feelings off, mental, if you're
Why should we turn
hurting?
it off?
But you say that you choose to feel sad, or but you don't choose it. I mean, if
Yes.
is there a magic turn off?
Someone
turn
like
off
my
button?
son
No,
died,
what is-
I have, it's not my decision. So I don't know how to move around that pain and not
You
feel
are in
because
some way. Just now I heard both of you saying, it was translated to me, you were saying that when you think of him, you're more joyful, thinking of all the wonderful things, and that's how it should be. Because a life that came into your life and exited for whatever reasons, you respect that. A life comes and goes, it's not our making. You cherish that life for what it's been for you. It's the only reason why you value it. In some way it's been beautiful, all right? Should you cherish it or should you grieve it? Well, this is not a philosophy. Let me come to that. But right now, whether there is joy or pain or misery or ecstasy or blissfulness, all are emotions, isn't it? Happiness is an emotion, misery is an emotion, joy is an emotion, suffering is an emotion, agony, ecstasy, everything is different levels of emotion, pleasantness or unpleasantness. Now I am asking you a simple question. Please listen to this carefully. If you had a choice between being pleasant or unpleasant within yourself, what is your choice?
I take pleasant.
That's it. So, this guy is straight. You're all thinking, because you're thinking there is something to it. No, it's as straight as this.
It's said that everything that doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Isn't that also the truth?
If you want to live by slogans, it's fine. Let's explore something.
Well, you have it to yourself.
But for the pleasantness of your body, for the pleasantness of your mind, emotion and energy, it is 100% your business. If you have excuses, unfortunate. There are no excuses. It's just that you're choosing to be that way.
Are you always pleasant?
Within myself, absolutely. The question is not about do you always pleasant, unpleasant. What happens within me? Something else cannot determine that. That's all.
Sadhguru, where do you believe your father is now? His soul is now. Do you believe in an afterlife, or is death sort of a line?
Is it true that you slowly gathered this body over a period of time? So, this is just a piece of earth that you gathered. If so much if you have to gather, something more fundamental must be there, isn't it?
Sadhguru, it's been wonderful to talk to you. Thank you so much.
It says here that
Please welcome Sadhguru.
Sadhguru is a yogi and a mystic, a man whose passion spills into everything he encounters, named one of India's 50 most influential people. I don't want to go through this one, to be honest. I got this today and I ignored it again, just like I ignored it the first one that came through, so I ignored this one as well. Because I was like, I don't know, but something tells me just download it, see if you can listen to it, take it from there. And I did so. So I wasn't ready to go to bed yet, because if I sleep too early, I'm going to wake up too early and I'm going to have my day ruined. But anyway, I listened to this the second time as I'm recording it. And he says Sadhguru means a man who is an uneducated guru. I don't know what that means, because he's comparing himself to if he's not like a doctor or anything like that, he's just a man who's uneducated, or a guru who's uneducated. I don't know if I feel like he answers what he wants to answer. People ask questions and he doesn't answer the questions directly. He answers questions with questions. It's almost like he wants to not give some sort of a answer, but at the same time he has something to say. I feel like he's tangent, he's on a tangent every single question he's asked. I feel like this is a guy who would be okay with talking about a concept that he wants to explore, like just how I'm doing it now. And then you will be able to hear what his mind is like. Isn't like if you were to just talk and not give interviews, perhaps I'm thinking I would be able to understand him better, isn't like know exactly where he's coming from, where he's going. And I looked at the comments of this video and people are just, they're not being negative, they're not being positive, they just, I feel like they don't know what they're talking about as well. They're just picking up bits and pieces of what he says and then they repeat it, and then this is where I'm saying philosophical kind of shit is kind of exhausting, especially with some people who would pick up just a bit of the information that was shared there and feel like or think like that's something profound that he said. Someone did that. A couple of people did that. And I'm looking at these sayings and I'm like, what does it even mean to you? Because that still doesn't mean anything to me. But I guess it's not about me, right? It's about the person who's saying this part here was interesting for me. But at the same time, it's like, I can't say for a fact this is Sadhguru. He talks about this because he places himself in environments where, for instance, this guy asked him specific questions about specific concepts, and he neither says anything about them that is worth anything. I can tell you the interviewer is frustrated with him. So is the other guests who are with him on the stage. You can even hear when the interviewer says, Sadhguru, it was nice having you here. This is an 11-minute recording. As he walks on stage and as that guy says to him, thank you for being here. But you can hear the end of it where the guy's just basically asking him a question about his father and whether or not he believes in reincarnation or something like that. And I did pick that up in his previous video that this guy probably doesn't believe in reincarnation, which is very interesting because now Father, the universe is sending me 3 videos of him where he had an opportunity to talk about reincarnation and he's not talking about reincarnation. He had an opportunity to answer the questions with reincarnation, simple as that. And he doesn't even try that, even with his own father. So, which leads me to think there's something here. This man he's not even saying the word. He doesn't even repeat the word. So I'm asking myself now, what is it about him with this word? We never believed in it at some stage. Most people who used to believe in it were more Indian type of people or people from India. But it's very interesting to find that he has no opinion even about it. I guess it's because if he's avoiding it because he knows that if he has an opinion about it, he might just trigger someone. But I get the feeling it's not the case. I get the feeling because he's talking about he doesn't know anything else other than what he has been through. But for some reason he feels that is enough for him to be a guru. And I'm like, that's not a problem, but you cannot take just your life experience and think that that is it about life and existence just because you just don't interested in what you see, because that's what he's saying. Belief is not a thing for him because it's an assumption of something. I don't know what that means as well. I will have to explore that for myself. But these women are fidgeting on their chairs as he's saying such things, and this one person is like, if belief is not an option, then what is? And he's saying, what did he say exactly? And this is the thing, that's like sometimes some things that he says, it's easy to forget because he's really not saying anything. I don't remember how he answered that one. And then the other woman saying, I don't choose that my son died. I'm mourning my son. If I have to choose the feelings that I'm going through, how do I choose? How do I deal with it? Because I don't know how to deal with it. He's like, in a way, you're trying to deal with it because you're imagining your son in his happy moments. And I don't think that is enough for that woman, that he's imagining his son in his happy moments, and that's possibly helping. She sounds like someone who's looking for assistance, for help, for guidance. And I guess having Sadhguru on the show probably gave her some hope that maybe a guru would be able to say something to her that would click someone. So I wrote down in my book one of the subjects that I wanted to discuss, if I can discuss that, would be how would I deal with a death of someone I loved. I never was a very sensitive person towards death. If anything, I find funerals exhausting and a waste of time. And the fact that they're so morbid and so bleak and so I thought I heard some movement outside, but anyway. The fact that they can be so bleak, causing problems as well in the family. People fight a lot during funerals, and our ones, especially in our African tradition, they take long to be resolved. It's like the person dies and she has to be buried the next week, and it's like 7 days or so, even more than that sometimes. By that time, you guys have been fighting each other. But besides that, how I would deal with death of someone I loved is that even before my awakening, I had always envied people who died. I don't know why. I envied them. Because, they got away. They got away from this environment. And I also feel like interesting. I also feel like the reason why people suffer so much with a loved one's death, I did suffer, especially with my grandmother. But I guess I took it hard and I didn't process it. I just knew that she has moved on to a better place. But for me, it wasn't about her death per se. It was about her sudden death. Like, her death didn't make sense to me. And only to find that it's true, her death didn't make sense because it happened, it was caused. It wasn't some great-grandmother who dies because of sicknesses and stuff. It was caused by family members. So it was that part. It's like all of a sudden she's okay. The next thing, there's some chaos in the house. She fights with someone. And the next thing, she dies. That was my issue with the death. I mourned more the happenings of the death than I did the fact that she was gone. The fact that she was gone was also something for me to deal with, but it was because of I depended so much on her. I thought I had a friend on this planet who could help me navigate this planet. I thought I would have her longer than I had her in my life. I thought that at least I'm not alone, at least there's someone like her who can help me exist or show me how to exist in this planet. And when she was taken away from me like that, it was a surprise, a shock, as intuitive as I was at the time, I knew something was wrong. So it was almost like she didn't exactly leave, but she could have been taken away from me, so it was, but I also did feel like she left me, and I had to quickly gather myself up, but it was like when you're not expecting someone else's death, as old as they can be. Sometimes it's like we go through funerals or death of people who we know that they are sick, who we know that they are old, who we know that, they need to rest. And it's not too bad when you go through those type of deaths. But when you go through a death of someone who was okay just a few days ago, and they don't get sick in a way of, oh, I was hiding some sickness, or oh, I didn't know I had a sickness, or oh, it's just time for me. But the events leading up to the death is what was an issue for me. Anyway, besides that, her death meant that I was going to be alone, basically. I was going to be alone in this environment, and I'm going to have to find a way to hack it. And I had to quickly toughen up and accept it and move on. It's a real thing. As high vibrational as I was at the time, because I was very young still, and I still was awake, I still couldn't process it in the, oh, she just went to a better place. Because for me, it was a bit suspicious, her death, that is. But I knew that she was at a better place, but at the same time, it was like, what now? I'm now alone. How do I move forward? I thought we were going to do this together. That is me and my grandmother. My great-grandmother were going to do this together. She was going to teach me about life. She was going to teach me about being a light. She was going to teach me all these things. She was going to help me step into my role. But it wasn't the case. She left too soon. And so when somebody like her loses a son, it's obviously too soon. No, I would imagine that no parent wants to bury their child. And I've heard that saying many times. So I cannot even say I know what she feels like. I can't. Because I've never been in that situation. But if I were to say, in a sense of going forward, knowing what I know now, in terms of understanding that there's a world or an existence further to the physical existence. That is, there's a spiritual existence for every program. Therefore, there's a spiritual existence for your son or your loved one. Meaning, you miss them. They're not here in this world. I missed my grandmother. I knew where she was, but I still missed her. So that just saying that, oh, it's something that you just have to move on from is not true. Because even when you know that they're in a better place, right, it's not comforting enough. It's like you feel like you didn't have enough time with that person. You wish you could have had a little bit more time, most especially if it's a child. But for me, it's vice versa, because I was a child. I wish I had more time with a parent figure or a mother figure, right? And with her, she's a mother. She wishes she had a chance to be with her son longer from in that way. So it's almost like similar but not exactly. In it's just the opposite of each other. But what I'm trying to say is, you can't tell that person something like you're gonna have to move on from it. It's a time issue. It's a time thing where you have to give yourself time. But one of the things that helped me move on, not just from death, but from people, is to set a time frame of mourning, deliberate mourning. That is, go into mourning. Be mindful of, mourning. And I think this is one of the reasons why in African culture they have a mourning period after the death of someone, where someone wears black for like a year or so. And I think in India they wear white. You are mindful of your state. You remember every day that you lost someone, you lost something, and you give yourself that time, 6 months, 3 months, a year, to go through that, to go through the mourning. You don't just go through it and be like, he's gone, she's gone, I'm gonna move on from it, I'm gonna jump into the next thing and move on from it, because it means you didn't process it. I never processed my grandmother's death. I realized that when I was awakening, that I never really got a chance to process it. I'm probably processing it now, but that's the thing. It's like that was when I was young. I hadn't set this thing that I'm talking about, where I'm saying now I have a set time. I set time. It depends who the person is, and I give myself time to say, I'm giving myself 3 months. I'm gonna mourn this person for 3 months, and after that I'll start moving on. And I feel like for me it works. I don't know about other people, but to give yourself time to mourn, and mourning meaning you don't necessarily have to think about that person the whole day and every day, but you give yourself right to say, if he crosses your mind, if she crosses your mind, you don't push it away. You don't listen to people telling you, oh, just move on from it. You actually sit there. You're mindful of it. You go through it. You enjoy it. You talk to that person, because they're going through your mind. So you give yourself the right to live with that person in the physical while they're in the spiritual for the next coming 3 months, 6 months, a year, or whatever time that you gave yourself, and start letting go slowly but surely. When you start seeing that those thoughts of that person are not coming often anymore, they're getting lesser and lesser. You're starting to forget them, how they look. You're moving. That is, you give yourself time to move on. It's not a quick thing. You could do even something about that ritual that you do for that person, to say, I know I'm mourning this person. In that way, in African culture, they'll wear black. That is one of the rituals you could do, a practice that you could do. In other cultures, they wear white. In Indian culture, they wear white. But you could also add something about it. Maybe record something, how you feel every day for the next coming 6 months, a year. Because what you're basically essentially doing when you're doing that is you're creating something from the pain of losing that someone. You're writing about it. That's a creation process. You're essentially transmuting that negative feeling, that negative energy, that negative vibration, that low vibration. You're transmuting it and creating something beautiful with it by maybe writing a journal about that person, or about whatever it is that you want to do when you want to remember this person, or doing a recording like the way I'm doing now. You could journal this way as well, or whatever it is that you want to create at the time when you're thinking of this person. You could listen to their favorite music. You could be in their bedroom where they used to sleep, enjoy it, just be there, even write that journal about them or yourself and what you're going through while you're in that room to gain inspiration. You know what I mean? It could be so many things that you could do, but you have to give yourself the right, not somebody else telling you how you're going to mourn this person. But always try to find a way to change that energy, change that low vibration into high vibration, create something with it. You could even celebrate this thing that you created after a year. And this is, I think, why people, after losing someone, they usually write books or something and then dedicate those books to those people. It doesn't have to be a quiet time as well in that morning. You could use that morning to go and, for instance, continue with their volunteering activities if they had any, or volunteer on their behalf. Say, you know what, you love dogs so much, I'm going to go and volunteer at a dog shelter. Or you like old people so much, I'm going to go and volunteer. I'm going to do something to celebrate you, to honor you, and to mourn you in that way, in a positive way, and create something with that energy. But give yourself time and the right to mourn that person and the right to stop mourning that person. No one must tell you it takes this long. You will give yourself the right to say, I will mourn this person from now on, and I will stop at 6 months. And if you don't want to stop, you will continue. But you should make that firm decision to say, I will come to a point where I have to stop. And that doesn't mean when you stop mourning them, you stop the rituals, you stop everything else. It's just that on that day, you make it a point to understand that this is where I stop mourning you. This is where I start living myself and celebrating my life with the memory of you that is still left in me. And if I do come to a point where I forget you, I know that I always love you and you will always love me. I know that you're looking out for me, and wherever you are. And that's the truth. I didn't know that. My great-grandmother sending me messages that I never left you. I've always been there with you. You thought that I left. I didn't. I've been always be guiding you. I've been your guardian angel all this time. So they could be the same thing for you. But you also need to be aware that they need to carry on with some of their missions that they have and move on to other things, move on to other lives, because these programs need to live. Sometimes they have missions here, they come through you for their mission, and their mission is a short mission, so they have a short lifespan and they have to move on and go somewhere else. That is, go back to the spiritual world and get reassigned to another mission. You know what I mean? It could be that. You could also think about it in that sense that, you know what, it's time that I let her go, or it's time that I let him go, so that they can start living their spiritual best self wherever they are and help others and help me, so that I don't tie them to myself. I allow them to move on and continue to enjoy existence in a different form. Maybe not in a physical form, but in a spiritual form. I wish I had known that when I was young. I wish I had been able to do that. Now what I do, when I got older, the same way I mourned my breakups, I would mourn my funerals, the deaths as well. I would give myself time, let's say 3 months or so, and say after 3 months I'm done. But I don't mourn too long anymore. I'll mourn for 2 weeks. But I found that giving myself that right and that space to be in mourning, that is to feel whatever pain it is that I'm feeling, don't block it. Allow it to be there. However, try to find something to use that pain to create something with it. It could be anything, just like every other low vibrational emotion. Sadness, that is low vibrational emotion. You could just take that and transmit it into your home life. You could just be at home feeling all that sad, but being in your, who knows, maybe your bedroom, crying all the time. But you need to move at some stage to use that energy, not to spill your tears all day, but to do something with it, create something with it. Anything. You could organize your bedroom. You could do so many things physical. Talk to that person even, because they can hear you. But going back to, I would say that's how I'm gonna deal with it. But going back to Sadhguru is that I find that I feel like he's fearful of something. I don't know why this is coming through. Sadhguru is fearful of something. He's too focused on the physical, because I think he feels like he knows it. But he's fearful of things that he doesn't know. He doesn't know where he comes from. Like he said, he doesn't know what happens with, when he dies. So I feel like that question of what happens before and after life on earth scares him for some reason. I don't know why it scares him. I can't picture how it would scare him, but I feel like this is the reason why he answers the way he answers, and this is why he is more about, I'm living here and I'm all about here. Because he says even like, if you want questions about spirituality, you don't go to him. If you want questions about religion, you don't ask him. If you want questions about science, you don't ask him. But what you ask him is about his experience in life. He's very much, has somewhere he starts. So you ask him about anything that is between when he started living on this planet and now. His experience and his observational experience, as he says. He's observing. I don't have a problem with that so much. It's just, I never really understood him. And I think sometimes people feel like just because of somebody's called Guru, they have all the answers. And he's basically saying, I don't have all the answers. I don't have the answers of before. I don't have the answers of the after. I only know what I know based on my experience in life. He sounds like that. Which makes sense now. This is why I'm like, I don't know what he's on about. Basically, Sadhguru or him, his philosophy or whatever is about him. He's the philosophy. Sadhguru is the philosophy. You know, when they say the philosophy of Sadhguru, I don't know if it means someone who doesn't, educated or something like that. That's the philosophy. It's almost like he's sort of like creating his own belief system. Which is interesting because he says belief is belief, and then he would have like people who listen to him and sometimes believe the things that he's saying. I don't know if they're believing them or they are finding them intriguing. As in like, okay, he said something there. I don't know how I feel about it, but he could be right. I don't know. I honestly don't know. You can't put him in any category, to be honest. He's as if like he's chosen to be in a category of his own. And maybe that's why it makes him appealing to many people. That he doesn't conform to the normal way of gurus, where they would have a concept and they run with that concept. He chooses not to have a concept. I get the feeling he's very much like Alan Watts. He picks pieces from different places and puts them together. Science, philosophy, spirituality, all these things, and he puts in his own concepts. He creates his own mind. He uses his own mind, applies his own mind around those concepts and comes up with his own. As much as he says it's not a belief, I do believe he does create his own beliefs. Yeah, he's creating his own beliefs from his own experience. I feel like that's what he's doing. I mean, if you are going to be a program and we're going to say your job is to always mind your program, mind your business. I guess you can sort of like call it individualism, as he says. He practices individualism. I don't know if you can call it individualism. I don't think it is actually individualism. No, it's not. Minding yourself, minding your program is basically saying stay within your limits of your program. don't go and spill yourself over to other programs, like get involved with other people's programs. I don't know what individualism really means, but I feel like it's more about self, in a sense of maybe for I don't know if it means an attachment as well, staying unattached or doing things by yourself. That's what it means. But I guess it is what it is. Maybe that's what it means. Minding his own business, minding his own program. And perhaps his program is a teacher-preacher kind of a program. He's not even aware of that. He's going to have to pick up that spirituality at some stage and be aware if he's really a preacher-teacher, because he's behaving and acting like a preacher-teacher kind of program. But what is that program? Because a teacher-preacher program can be other programs. I'm a teacher-preacher program as a defragmentation tool, because I learn and I'm able to teach. But he could be a preacher teacher, maybe what could he be? Which other program learns and teaches others? Maybe it could be help, help kind of that would be like a database as well, kind of a knowledge base, right? He could be there, right? Perhaps he might need to expand himself more than just knowing about his existence only, and remember, or maybe he's only limited to that, right? But also maybe remember what his mission is. Perhaps his mission was to go further than that, to become a bigger database that is not just to know about his existence here, but to remember his existence before and many other places he's been. Perhaps he's been at every other places. I don't know. It's all about that alignment and finding out for yourself, because I can't find it out for you, for him. But I'm picking up that he's afraid. I don't know why. I just get this feeling that why would he be afraid of finding out? I think he's afraid because this is what I'm getting. He's afraid because he's been preaching about this. Not preaching. Yeah, teaching and preaching is the same thing. He's been talking about how about individualism, about being interested only in his existence, or being, knowing only about what he knows, which is what he can perceive in this environment, in terms of when he started living here and up until this point. He's afraid of changing that perception, because that's his selling point. That's the recipe that has kept him in this business for this long. Perhaps, but that looks like a very old video. I don't know what, but even now he sounds similar. Perhaps he's afraid of finding out more, because it means he will have to expand. That is also, he would have to be like, he feels like he is afraid that he might seem like a fraud if he leaves that box that he put himself in. That is, I only know what I know for what I can see, kind of a thing. But then he's afraid that if he starts saying, oh no, I'm learning new things now, people might be like, why? Like, you were saying this and this. And yeah, I'm getting that. He's afraid that the concepts that he has are going to be challenged. He's afraid that the concepts that he's been talking about are not only going to be challenged, but they're going to change. He's afraid of changing those concepts because he doesn't want to seem like a liar. But this is the thing I say. What you know today, what I know today, changes tomorrow. And it's not because of it changes, it's that you understand it better. You understand it better as time moves on and you start exploring these conversations with spirit team or with whoever, the next person that you're using for your exploration or whatever method that you're using to explore topics and stuff. It's a good thing that they're evolving. It's a good thing that they're evolving that fast. It means you change your perception today, not leave it for people to use for the next coming 10 years or 20 years or so, and then only come back and be like, actually, I was kind of wrong. This is how I understood it. And this is why I keep saying, these are my meditation sessions with my spirit team, and they evolve. They get clarified. I get more clarity. And when I get clarity, I'm not afraid to record it and say, I used to think, because I'm a learning tool. I'm learning. I don't claim to know everything. I'm learning and I'm remembering, and I'm also receiving downloads from the universe. So I have to put all of that information together to make up my mind, right? So on one end, I'm getting information around my environment. On the other end, I'm getting downloads from Father. On the other end, I'm remembering from my own database where I stored the information when I had my visions and my dreams. And then I have to put all of that together so that they can mean something. They can make sense to me. And sometimes they don't, And this is where Father said, don't worry, I'll confirm you. I'll send you messages to confirm what you believe, or what not believe, what you understand, what you saw, what you hear. I'll send you some confirmation. And I can only get there if I'm willing to explore it and be wrong, even if it means I'm wrong, right? So he's afraid of being wrong. This is why he doesn't commit to a thing. This is why he has this, I'm neither here nor there. And this is why he answers people neither here or there. And this is why that audience or the panel on the stage seem to be not getting exactly what he's saying and frustrated with him in that way. It's because of he cannot bed down. They cannot bed him down to what is it that you're saying. What is it that you believe in? What is it that you're talking about? Because you're talking about, if you believe this and this and this and this and this. They ask him a question, and then he answers by asking another question. Things like that. He's neither here nor there. That's what he sounds like, someone who doesn't want to commit himself to something. And that's not a problem. The problem comes in with the fact that you don't want to commit to something, but at the same time, you sound like you don't even want to explore anything else beyond that, because you still set limits. Like, he still has limits. Oh, you tell me, you ask me about my beginning and my end, that is my existence on earth, between when I left here and now. Limit. He's put himself in a box right there. And then things like, belief is whatever. I forgot what he said about it. Those type of things are still him trying to control his environment and limit it to that kind of concept. But it becomes a difficulty when something outside of that, like these women asking him questions, and instead of answering them directly, he goes round and round. He's first asked them questions again, and then he goes on off on tangent. I feel like he's just goes off on tangents. I don't understand him. I really don't. But he feels fearful. He feels like this is an age where all these gurus are going to be challenged. I mean, if I'm not saying I'm a guru, but what I'm talking about, I'm already expecting to have, I don't know, whatever people coming at me with bullshit, right? So he's been doing it so long. They have created so much from what he's been doing. The brand, people depend on that brand and all of that. So there's a lot on riding on him keeping the status quo. And that's the problem. That evolution that needs to come through, he's going to miss it. Because of he's selling a product. He's not really a guru. He's not really truthful. He has a tailored product that he's selling. That is, he's about his existence between when he came here and now, and he's an observer. As he was observing his environment, people ignore what's around his environment. He's an observer he's selling that product. And he's not willing to talk about any other product like, what was it again? Recreation. Yeah? What was that concept again? Which I said he's afraid of talking about it. Reincarnation. I wanted to say recreation. My goodness. Reincarnation. He's not going to discuss reincarnation because reincarnation will challenge a lot of things inside of his box, right? And reincarnation is not packaged within his box. It's not part of his product package, that is. So he tries very hard, not even very hard. He doesn't comment on it. This is why I'm saying he doesn't even say the word. The 3 videos that have been sent, all of them had reincarnation in them. I didn't even have to say it this time. This guy said it. In the 2, I was like, the 2 before this one, I was like, but why is he not talking about reincarnation? It's weird from somebody who's coming from India. And this guy got frustrated with him because this last question is like, okay, fine. So what do you believe in? Where do you think your father is then? Do you believe in reincarnation? That's how it sounded with the guy, the interview at the end. It's like, okay, Sadhguru, you know what? Thank you very much for being here. Basically, I could sense that the guy was saying, you didn't give us shit. You didn't give us anything. You're neither here nor there. Maybe this guy didn't actually like to interview Sadhguru because when he came on board, on stage, he was already asking him about, I don't know if this guru thing, anybody can be a guru, or went on and said something like, do you have to have a beard? He was also a little bit offish as well at first, and maybe this is where, but I keep forgiving Sadhguru. It's not possible. He can't keep being bad on each and every video that I've seen up until this point. And I'm not talking about just the 3 that was sent to me now. I'm talking about all the other videos where I felt like I can't figure this guy out. I can't understand what he's talking about. It's almost like, when you talk about Akituli, you will know what they talk about. You can almost, those who listen to him will tell you this is what he is about. Sadhguru, I don't get it. I never see people being like, oh, Sadhguru is with this topic. If somebody said, if you were to describe yourself with one topic, what would it be? I know for me, it would be alignment. For me, spiritual alignment. For Sadhguru, I don't know what that is. I know for me, I will have also other supporting ones like spiritual purpose, spiritual alignment, spiritual purpose, spiritual destiny, spiritual mission, everything spiritual in that sense, spiritual awakening, spiritual, everything is going to be about you connecting directly to your source, aligning directly to your source to get your answers, to understand who you are. But with Sadhguru, I'm only picking it up now, what he's trying to be, but I'm realizing that box does not allow too many things in it. he's packaged it with whoever he's packaged it with, and they're not willing to put anything else inside that box. He's not. Perhaps he will. He does touch on reincarnation in other some of his discussions, but I've seen him avoid it 3 times now. I didn't even. It's weird. It's like the answer is so there, reincarnation, but he doesn't talk about it. In this instance, it wasn't a question of whether or not it's reincarnated. This guy's like, do you believe in reincarnation? Do you believe that your brother your father will come through? I know there is reincarnation. How do I know? Before I came here, I also had to make contracts with the people that I'm going to have to give birth to on earth. They are warriors. They can come back in here to get their upgrades. So yes, I believe in reincarnation because I've seen heaven and these people who are waiting to be who are waiting to reincarnate. It's like, man, I cannot wait to get out of here and go back and live my life. Yes, there is reincarnation. And in the sense of a program, what do you expect for the program to do? For Father to do with your program? Discard it? No. You have to come back here and be better. Do better. That's what you were created for. A purpose. Meaning your purpose is, as long as there's a need for your purpose, you exist. Or otherwise you evolve as something else. And that's all there is to it. But anyway, not all that there is to it, but that's it. Even as a program, you can actually apply reincarnation to a program. Because this is why we're here. You come into this physical to either, when you walk in your purpose, to either, not either, but you're coming here to evolve your program. To live your program in a better way so that it grows, it becomes a better program. That's why we're here. Or you're here for a mission that Father sent you. It's interesting though. Anyway, I don't feel like getting into more of his content. I hope this was the last one. There's one where he's talking about 1111, what that number means. You should hear that one. I was like, do you realize that 1111 does not exist on its own? That there are other synchronicity numbers as well, angel numbers as they call them. What would he say about 1010? I would like to know. There's a video about 1111 number 10, and I'm asking myself, but what about 1010? There's 1010, there's 0909, there's 0808, there's 888, there's 5555. What are you saying? You should hear that. 11 is the female or the feminine. 12 is the no. Maybe I was supposed to actually do that one. I need to do that one. That one I wanted to do because I felt like they were trying to get me to get an understanding on numbers. Angel numbers. So I might have to do an exploration of that topic from his perspective. Maybe I need to talk about angel numbers and what they mean and what they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to be used. Because, to be honest, I've used them the same way every other person uses them. I see it, I go into the internet, I Google it, I read about it, I go like, okay, yeah, But I feel like there's a deeper meaning to them. And that's something that I want to explore next. Maybe let me write it down. Okay. Anyway. Another day with Sadhguru.